that the next move for silver takes it to around 35 to 37. Next move for gold does take it to 2,500, but it could take, it might not happen even this year.
Lior, good to have you on once again.
Good to be here.
So, listen, sir, last time we talked, we were obviously talking about precious metals because that's what we do. And as you know, I'm a precious metals dealer, and I buy and sell a lot of the physical silver and gold. And within the last, I want to say, 2 months, I feel like the spot price has been a bit wacky. We saw like a solid increase in the gold spot price, and it held steady, and it continued to go up and up and up and up and continued to break all-time highs and hold those numbers. And then one day last week or a week and a half ago, it dropped like a rock. It dropped 80 something bucks one day. Silver dropped $1.50, and then the next day it dropped again. And so now we're starting to see it come back a little bit, but we're still, seeing gold like in the low 2300s now. Silver, I think last time I checked, was like $29. Anyhow, here's my question to you. What is causing that like quick correction, if you want to call it that? Like, what is causing this, drastic fluctuation in spot prices of both silver and gold?
Yeah. The big one you're referring to was because the Central Bank of China disclosed that it's going to hold any more purchases for the next year to year and a half. So that was a big message to the market. This was the one you're referring to where gold dropped over $100 an ounce, and silver, I think, $1.50, something like that. So that's one thing. It's a one-time event, but it had a dramatic effect. But a couple of days after that, there was a very hot jobs report. If you remember, it was 272,000. But before I get the comments on that hot jobs report, let me just say I understand the jobs report is fake. In other
not
words,
exactly accurate.
Yeah. It obviously tallies people that now have to resort to working 2 or 3 jobs as new jobs. So and obviously part-time jobs, etc. Because at the same time as this very hot jobs report, the unemployment rate is going up.
Yes.
And at the same time as this is all happening, you guys have managed to clear out the population of prisons in sub-Saharan Africa, Venezuela, and other countries, because they're all coming through your southern border.
Mm-hmm.
So all these other countries are very happy at your open border policies, and these 20 million people that have come in, a bunch of them with criminal records, they are also taking on jobs. So I would say that to even make this point further, you have very, very low skilled workers. So this is not a great economy whatsoever. If these low skilled workers can be integrated into the workplace so easily. So the main reason that gold and silver are and before I say like why I think that is and what's next, just to say that we are here at an all-time high. So if you would have told me late June, early July, we would be at 2,400 or 2,300s, I would have taken it. If I said that we are going to 2,582.
Yep.
As the big one, and we're almost there. But I think now we're gonna have to stay at these levels for a while. With silver, I remind you that what I said was that we have a base at 21.5. We have resistance at 28.5. Once that breaks, it will shoot up. It did to 32. I think it's creating that new base around 28.5, which was the resistance. It's now becoming the base. And I think that the next move for silver takes it to around 35 to 37. Next move for gold does take it to 2,500, but it could take, it might not happen even this year. So I think the metals are kind of peaking for 2024. You have the elections,
Yeah.
which basically will define the identity of your country. The Democrats and the Republicans, um, they've seen differently on issues for for a very long time. But after you remove the Soviet Union, which was the kind of the consensus for the American public post World War II, and you removed it in the 90s, that vacuum got filled by progressive, by postmodernism, then progressiveness, now wokeness, and so your country has moved towards the Democrats are no longer really Democrats. They're a mix of Democrats and and far left religions, mostly atheist religions like communism and wokeness and anarchy and otherwise, and it's showing. It's
Mm-hmm.
showing. You can see it. The Republicans, classic Republicans, are very are also they're not really there. Classic Republicans like George Bush. We got attacked 9/11. We're
Yeah.
going into Iraq to this. Okay, that's not there either because now what you have as a Republican is a very conservative person, Donald Trump, which he doesn't come from Washington,
Right.
and which means that to him to mobilize troops is not like first nature. When you do nothing in your life but be a career politician like a Joe Biden, like an Anthony Blinken, like a Jack Sullivan, when they get to these positions of national security advisor or secretary of state, they mobilize troops like it's pawns in a game. Whereas Trump, he likes to pick up the phone because he comes from the business world, which was what the founding fathers really thought the country should be. That regular Americans should come from their whatever then it was their plantations or whatever, come to Washington, serve the country, go back to real life. And you didn't have career politicians. This is a very new phenomenon because those people don't have real world experience. They're uh, you guys call them detached. They're detached from reality. It's because they've never negotiated for shoes in a shoe store. How could they negotiate with dozens of different cultures and countries? They don't have what it takes. Whereas people that come from real world, they do know a lot more. Um, so, anyways, my point is that the fate of the country will be determined in what is it, November? Yeah, 6 months.
November.
So
November.
yeah, 5 months. So
We have our first debate in a matter of weeks.
yeah,
So that should
I
be
think that
interesting to say the least.
I sure think so, and I think that you will see a more reserved Donald Trump, a more
Yeah.
presidential Donald Trump. He doesn't come to drain the swamp anymore in terms of his message. The message is not to drain the swamp this time around, so because he's not fighting like a Hillary Clinton. He's coming against a reigning president. So like the the answer is in the results. You have super high inflation. You have wars in all around the world. There's
Mm-hmm.
wars. Your media covers one or two of them very closely. There are about 40 conflict zones around the world that are at the scale of Russia, Ukraine.
Oh wow.
I know. So, and there are like famines going on, like war starvation in Sudan, in Myanmar. It's in the Sahel. There's Al Qaeda and ISIS everywhere. So, anyways, my point is that you have the most incompetent administration, probably since the Clintons, and then before then, since Woodrow Wilson. This is as bad as it gets, and I just say Biden is the same as Obama. It's not. It's like the same line. The line is that we can buy friends by giving things for free, whereas the cultures that they're dealing with, they're not like that. They don't see that as a gesture. They see that as okay, give me whatever you want for free,
Yeah.
and then we'll start the negotiations. Um, okay, so my point, I think gold as and silver have kind of peaked.
All right, so we're back after that very bizarre audio video snafu. But Lior, so we were talking about the elections. coming up, and how it's going to be a wait and see period for silver and gold, and then that's when my camera started to act up. So I wanted to kind of bring us back to that point in the
Yeah, I
conversation.
think it's gonna be a wait and see for CEOs, because a Democrat-led world and a Republican-led world very different. So CEOs, CFOs, which maybe your business needs to buy 1,000 new components. So you're waiting. Who knows what the world will
Right.
look like in 5 months? So we have all these delays. Let's say you need to just upgrade all of your systems. You're an enterprise. You need to upgrade 1,000 computers. You wait, and all this waiting is very stagflationary, and that's what I think we will see. Like more volatile, more volatility, people positioning, people taking cash out. I mean, institutions, Wall Street, etc. So that's kind of what I think we will have. We will have like more volatility towards the second half of the year, and then at some point, either September, um, the Fed will cut rates for the first time, or if it's not volatile enough, they'll wait until after the elections and do it in December. There's actually a meeting the day after the elections, where they can do something. So I don't expect them to do anything the day after the results are in. But so that's kind of why I think gold and silver are at this point where they have nothing to rally over, nothing to crash over. They're
Yeah.
just they're good what they are, and they're high, right? 2,300, I'll take it. 30 for silver, I'll take it. Um,
Do you think it's a good time
so
for people to be buying?
um, I mean, look, here's how I view this all the time. If you have less than 5% of your net worth in physical precious metals, you should have more. And if you have less than 2 years worth of living expenses in physical precious metals, you should have at least 2 years. I'll give you like a very basic example. Let's say you're a family of three with all the expenses, etc., etc. I'm just giving you my example with the family of three. Let's say everything, rents, the whole thing, the whole shebang, it's $5,000 a month. 2 years of that is $120,000. That is how much you should have in physical precious metals if you want to be responsible. And if you don't have that, then just buy more. Yeah, the name of the game is ounces,
Yeah.
not how much they're worth.
Right.
As long as we're on the fiat monetary system. Now, I would say that I think that in the world that we're moving into, you can add some Bitcoin to that. It won't do any problem if in that mix of 2 years you have gold, silver, and Bitcoin. Um,
I was actually gonna ask you about Bitcoin. Is there a certain, because you say if you have less than 5%, you should have more, and I would agree with you. I would say between 10 to 15%, I think, seems to be a comfortable number, and that also seems to be the standard number that you hear a lot of financial advisors kind of toss around. It's like you should have like 10 to 15% of your holdings in metals. Do you think there's a certain number that you should have, a percentage in terms of your yearly living expenses in Bitcoin?
like I said, I think it's worth putting it in the same basket as precious metals. And
Okay.
to me, it means a collective 2 years worth of living expenses. If you're in the West, right? If you're in a third world country or a second world country, that thing should go up a bunch.
Yeah.
Because why would I buy real estate or stocks uh, in that country? Now, if you're living in a second world or a third world and you have access to American led tech stocks, then fine. Then your portfolio can look more like a Western. But here in the West, where we have far less currency crisis and for the most part, inflation is very predictable. There is inflation, but it's predictable. Then you can settle for either 2 years or 5%. Because to me, inflation impacts other assets as well, right? If I own productive real estate or if I own Tesla stock, right? Tesla stock will also benefit from inflation. Um, so I think that it's not the only inflation hedge, but it is the only inflation hedge against uh, savings. Like if you have just savings power, then for sure if you're a person that holds most of his assets in straight cash, I don't see why you would
Hmm.
have a lot in fiat currencies at all,
Now let me ask you
right?
too. Yeah, is there
Now, if
one?
something is
Yeah.
just to clarify, because you I've been hearing this for 15 years. If if something is denominated in dollars, you're this is not a paper asset,
Right.
okay? If you own $100,000 worth of Tesla stock, then what matters is how many shares of Tesla you own. If it's in dollars or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not like if the dollar is going to zero or to a gazillion, whatever, like hyperinflation. You own Tesla. You own a piece of a business. So whether tomorrow they change the denomination to gold, it doesn't matter. The asset is the value is in the
The
asset.
company. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Now, if you own just bricks of cash, and loses its value, then that's real value loss. That's purchasing power loss.
Right. Do you think
Okay.
there's one metal over the other? Because I know a lot of people within the stacking community here on YouTube, they want to know, should they be putting their money in silver? Should they be putting it in gold? A lot of people will often say, okay, gold's at like all-time highs. However, silver, is still half of, what it once
Yeah.
was. There's
The
more.
only commodity.
Right. So do you think they should be putting more of their money right now in silver over gold, or should they do both? Like, what do you think?
Well, look at history. Since 1971, gold has compounded at around 7%, and
Hmm.
silver at around 3.5%. So, if you're Matt or Lior, 40, have like who knows, maybe 80 more years.
You got
Um,
80. You seem like you
eh,
got a lot
eh,
of life left in you.
nah,
I'll go
nah,
with 80.
the Jewish people, we say on your birthday, the blessing is until 120.
Okay.
So that's why I said 80.
80.
So, anyways, at 80, assuming we stay on the fiat monetary system, you're better off with gold. But in bull markets, historically, you're better off with silver.
Right.
So we are in a bull market. So I would say if you're not 50-50, go to 50-50. And if you're overweight in gold, then don't sell gold, but just
Just
go more
switch
heavy on,
gears.
yes. Now, if you're more heavy on silver, then it looks like you're just a silver
Silver
lover.
bug. Yeah.
Yeah, silver bug. So, I mean, this is not the time to switch onto gold. Um, if you're in a bull market, silver does do better. Now, the best way to do it is to look at the ratio. So the ratio right now at 23, let's say call it 23 and 30. Um, Help me
Let's
do the
see.
math here. That's like 70, 75, 76.
Yes.
Okay, so 75,
Let me look
76 to
here.
1. That's not a mature bull market. A mature bull market, it goes to around 50 to 1. So if gold stays at 2300, silver should trade over 40
Right.
in a mature bull market. So we definitely have more to go, and just for the fundamentals to kick in, because we are in a bubble, not for gold and silver. We are in a bubble of thinking. For the last 30 years, um, uh, the West has not had any meaningful enemy at all. The Soviet Union fell. All the countries that were part of the Soviet Union went
On their
in the
own.
other way.
Yeah.
Yes, and America elected a saxophone player, 45 years old, that had a college degree in some shady businesses in Little Rock. So the euphoria was there, and America felt invincible. So they told the Chinese, who are like literally their arch enemies since the 40s, um, like the CCP. It's in their charter that they want to annihilate the United States of America. They told them, why don't you join the WTO? I think that's a great idea for you guys, and all these other ideas that can only be uttered by either academics, which is what the Clinton administration was only built from, or from people that just have not fought any wars. They don't have war experience. They don't know that war is the world. The world is war. There is no peace. There's never been peace ever in human history. There have been times of peace where people were just tired of war, but war is the norm. And then 9/11 comes in and wakes you guys up, but it wakes you guys up in a time where you're not prepared. So you make a lot of mistakes in retaliating, and you actually make the world hate your strategies.
Mm.
Even though your conscience is, you know, we're fighting for the civilized world against the uncivilized world. Your methods are not accepted, and so you get to a point where you do the other thing. You say, who is the guy who has never done anything wrong because he's never done anything, but he can preach and smile very nice and say, yes, we can. And so you elect that guy who
You sounded like
has
Mickey Mouse there. I know
well,
you're. I know you're trying
but
to do
that's what
Obama. You sounded like Mickey Mouse.
yes, but what you really got
Yeah.
is is a person that rose up only through academia. He knows only academic uh, theories and no real world experience. Um, but people fell in love with that uh, naivety. So that's what came. But a lot of people did not and saw through it. And so in 2016, you were disgusted by that 8 years of literally uh, going full blown naive, or I would say woke, because it's not naive in the pure sense. It's not like goodness. It's naive. You're like you're unfit, unqualified naive. And so you elected a guy that came out of nowhere with freshness. Um, and then I think what happened to Trump is uh, he got faced with a problem that he didn't know how to face because he's never faced a problem like that. Trump is America, right? Trump is capitalism, but a pandemic is not something in his wheelhouse, and
Yeah.
he just didn't know what to do in the right way. He could have done that better, and would have easily won because the economy was everything was great. Um, anyways, I think that is kind of the my point that if you look at where we are, the world is deglobalizing. America is pulling back from trying to police the world because it cannot.
Yeah.
The fleet that gave it the advantages of Bretton Woods, where it literally had the only fleet in the world post World War II, and could literally patrol the oceans and make sure that you buy this T-shirt from China or any Far East country, it goes to Rotterdam, they slap an Armani little logo on it, and then it's already in your house uh, in Chicago the next day. That is insane.
Yeah.
We've never had that. That's not normal. For everything to go on the oceans, there's no piracy, there's no nothing, no challenges. The open seas, that's a miracle. That's why it's called the long peace. But we're done. We're over that. This is it. We're going back to deglobalization. The last deglobalization period we had was 1910 till 1945. You had the formation of the Fed, World War One, the Great Depression, and World War Two. So deglobalization is not fun, and it shakes up everything. And I think that if we're not able to stop it now, before it becomes an even bigger problem, then we're headed for some tough times. And commodities are the essence of this, because if you think about the United States of America and what it was willing to give up for this idea of hyper globalization, it gave its lithium mines up, its uranium mines up, it gave up all production of nickel. Like, think of what you guys gave up. You gave it all up. You outsourced it all. You elevated other countries, but you
Yeah.
did it at your own
At our own
behest,
expense.
at your own expense, and now you're dealing with it. And other countries understand that they can blackmail you with that. Luckily, entrepreneurs found fracking, and you're very energy independent if you allow yourself to be. Um, but my point is, commodities are going higher because countries are not going to be selling them to other countries for just a free market price. You want my commodities, you want my copper, you want this. What do you have for me? I know what you're paying me, but what else can you offer me? Okay, if these guys attack me, are you going to back me?
Right.
Or other things that will come up, like give me your AI, give me your top 20 scientists. I want them for 1 year here training my scientists. There's going to be more demands, and if not, then fine, try to go elsewhere. The price is going up.
Crazy times that we're living in right now, Lior. And, you know,
Like I said, normal times. Crazy for anyone 40 like you and I. I
yeah.
don't know how old you are. You may be less than 40.
I'm
I'm aging you.
44. I'm
Oh, you're
44.
44. You look
Yeah.
like 28.
I'm actually going to be 45 in a matter of a couple of weeks. So I'm getting up there.
There you go. Me
Senior
too.
citizen.
Me too. I'm going to be 40 in 2 weeks.
Oh my
Exactly 2 weeks.
goodness.
3 weeks
When's
actually.
your birthday? July what?
July 8th.
Oh, okay. I'm on the 4th. Yeah.
Oh,
July.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a famous birthday. The
That's
entire
right.
country celebrates.
They
Um,
celebrate it. That's right.
yeah. So, but to kind of, this is normal times. And uh, Americans should not prepare. I know there's preppers, like doomers, preppers
Mm-hmm.
in this community of
Mm-hmm.
stackers because of inflation, the fiat monetary system. But you should really educate yourself beyond inflation, hyperinflation, like Austrian school thinking, all that. That's good. That's great. Like most Americans, have no squaddly dot about these things. But educate yourself a lot more. Learn about America. Like learn about where you come from. And what, like, this is not normal. You wake up in the morning, you go to your truck. Like, truck is not normal. Truck is an American thing for everybody to have a car, two cars. You have anything you want in the grocery store. This is
Yeah.
all stuff you should really like uh, be thankful. You have the most arable land in the world. You grow corn and soy and beans and everything else. You have the best river system in the world with the Mississippi. You have the best ports in the world. You have the best neighbors to the north and south. You have the most amazing barriers to your east and west. You have oceans.
Yeah.
Oceans. Who has oceans?
Right.
Um, you have everything, and you should learn more. You should maintain that. So the way I think about it is, you reach the top, but then you got decadent, and you're not maintaining. You need to maintain the people that are in your college campuses. They don't know anything,
Yeah.
and so they can accept all brainwashing. So I think the more Americans learn about what it took to be the greatest economy in the world, to get where you are, the more you're gonna realize what your values are, what you need to defend, and the more you can come to meet middle ground. Republicans and Democrats used to talk all the time and respect each other. It was
Yeah.
only on the fringes
Yeah.
that there was a problem. Now everybody's
Now
they don't see
everybody.
which. It's a problem. So it's a problem, and you're gonna face the music. This is not gonna go in a vacuum. Everybody's watching. Your enemies are watching. You just It's so fun to be an American that you don't see it, but they're watching, and they're gonna get you one way or another if you don't rise up to the challenge.
Well, Lior, listen, I appreciate your time and your insight as always. I'm sure you and I will probably have another video together prior to the election, because I'll
Sure thing.
probably ask you, predictions and all that good stuff
Yeah,
beforehand. And listen, I appreciate the time, and everybody watching the video, definitely check out the website, which is wealthresearchgroup.com. Correct?
correct. It's a
And
free financial newsletter.
we're going to put
Free.
that down below. Free. Guys, you can't beat that. So,
Yeah.
much appreciated, Lior, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.